Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tailgate Committee, your new favorite college football show. It's week 11 of the college football season, and we are back once again to break it all down. We're going to talk a week 10 recap. We have another coach that has been let go at, I don't know how many weeks it is in a row. It feels like pretty much every week on the show, besides maybe our week 1 and week 2 shows, we were talking about coach firings. But here we are again. We are going to talk about the college football playoff top 25 that has just dropped. The first one of the season. Some interesting stuff to talk about. We are going to give our reaction to the top 25. Who's too high? Who's too low? Who's just right? Make sure you tune in for that. And then we have our preview of week 11. We were kind of saying it off the show, maybe a little bit of a weaker slate this week. Not as many exciting matchups, but we found a few that we think you should be watching. Hopefully by Saturday, Disney and ESPN will stop being greedy and get that YouTube TV deal done and let us get our ESPN and ABC and all that stuff back on YouTube TV. YouTube TV subscribers, hold. We are holding strong. We will not subscribe to that $30 fucking new ESPN package that they want everybody to buy. We're not doing it. All right? Give us our ESPN. Disney owning everything, having a monopoly and all this shit is terrible. Anyway, that's my rant. I just want to watch ball. I just want to watch college football at my house. Just go to the bar and watch it. Yes, I'm gonna go to the bar from fucking 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Every day for the next 4 months. Get the fuck out of here. All right. This is the Tailgate Committee. My name is Andy Hopper. I'm joined by Tom Scavetta and Noah Dibler. Noah, so fresh, so clean. Thank you for getting cleaned up before the show. Tom, we always appreciate you joining us. I don't have to run to hoops directly after the recording of this, so we're going to enjoy a couple cold ones. And talk some ball. You guys are in for it. Don't you cross me, Noah. You better watch yourself down there. But let's jump right into our week 10 recap. Gosh, it is getting late. Early, it feels like, folks. I just complained about the week slate. I would be begging for a slate like this in the middle of fucking April. So we'll see. Let's go with UGA in Florida, the world's largest cocktail party. Georgia comes out with a win, maybe a little bit closer than we were thinking on the show. Noah, you know where I'm going with this one. You guys come out with the win. That's all that matters, right? Give me your reaction to this game, your thoughts on the Dogs' performance, and what went right. Was there anything that you didn't necessarily like? But let's hear it.
Yes, the win is what matters the most. I wouldn't say it's all that matters because poor play in one game can be indicative of a cause for concern in the future. I did expect Georgia to win this game by more points. However, I can also say I'm not necessarily surprised that this game was close because, we kind of mentioned this last week as well. Interim head coach bounce, they were probably going to have a much better game than you would expect if they still had Billy Napier. A rivalry game, again, I know it's kind of weird to say because UGA has had a few blowouts against Florida the past few years, but, there's still that element in there that you have to take into account. Florida has, they did have that win against Texas a couple weeks back, which, shows they do have it in them on very rare occasions to put together a complete game. But overall, went right. I think the main thing, I was impressed with most of the defense past the first quarter. The first quarter was a bit rough, but past that, really good at, stopping on third down. Florida was 2 for 11 on third down, over 2 on fourth, less than 300 yards against. Contained DJ Lagway as well, 166 yards passing, and he was not able to use his legs in this game as well, which is always a good sign as well. Did a decent job against the running game. Outside of Eugene Wilson, really had no threats in the passing game either. He was, 121 yards. They had 166 total. Like I said, he was basically their entire offense through the air. On the other side, I think Gunner was pretty good. By the way, I do just wanna bring this up. I know Tom probably will. Man, hope you didn't have that point spread in this game because Gunner, you know what? I don't care. The win is what's most important. And if you place a bet like that, that's the risk you're gonna take. So you know that it is what it
Thank
is.
you. Thank
But
you.
Bringing it up early. My
Wow.
God. Wow.
oh
What
man,
a brutal way to
Bringing the
if,
heat.
for anybody that
yeah,
didn't see, he had a walk-in touchdown at the end of the game and he took a knee on like the 2-yard line to just run out the clock, which is the correct
mhm,
play. You already had the game won. There are a lot of people that would say otherwise, that they would rather him score that touchdown, whether it was
yeah,
for the total or was for the spread or whatever. It was a it was a big play for a lot
right,
of people. But go on.
right.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, and can I just say this by the way? I don't remember who it was. It might have been Kirby. It might have been someone in the media, but someone made a good point. It might have even been Gunner saying, "Yeah, he could have scored the touchdown, but there is always a risk. For example, you go out on defense the next drive, and one of your best players tears an ACL or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can totally prevent with a play like that. So it might not be the most popular read by some, but I don't have an issue with it. Like I said, I think the win
The
is what's most
play to
important.
win the game.
Exactly. Good old Herm Edwards. Speaking of Herm Edwards, can I just do some coach speak real quick? Um, these Florida fans again whining about the refs. Oh, it was a catch. First of all, number one, no, it wasn't. Wasn't even close. If you have eyes and can look at a replay, you can see it clearly hit the ground first. And number two, what did I say earlier a couple weeks back? If you are in a close game and you leave it to the refs to decide, you deserve to be screwed over. Because if you have to leave a game in a ref's hands, you did not do enough to win the game. And we just talked about Georgia could have scored another touchdown. They decided not to. Uh, you know what, Florida? Sucks to suck, but you're 3-5 for a reason. Fired your coach for a reason, and your coach didn't even think it was a catch. By the way, he pretty simple answer. One word: no. I do respect that response by him, but yeah, maybe not the most impressive win, but it's a win. Florida fans, they're using their consolation prize. Oh, we kept it close this year, but you still lost, and that's all that goes in the record book. So there you go.
Throw out the records when these two get together. When it's a rivalry game, that tends to happen, especially one where the two teams and two fan bases really dislike each other to this extent. They always seem to find their way into being an interesting game. Tom, what was your takeaway from this? A little bit closer for Georgia. Do you think maybe they were looking ahead? They're kind of looking past the Gators. Is that the reason for the close game here? Is there any reason to be worried about the Bulldogs moving forward?
No. It's a rivalry. It's always a tightly contested game. Those teams know each other very well. They play every year. Uh, Georgia by far had the better game. I was impressed with Zachariah Branch's performance. He had a great stat line. And the offense really controlled the game. Defensively, they didn't have any sacks. Georgia did have one turnover. They were the slightly more penalized team, but they were able to come away with the win. And it goes to coaching, right? Kirby Smart, his players have discipline. You go out there and you look at Gunnar Stockton making the correct play. And shout out Noah to throwing shade this early in the show because that's only my second loss of the season. So it's not like you're going to get many more chances to flex on me anyway. So
Tom calling his shot. Don't worry about it. He'll bounce back this week. Let's go to the next game. And we had a top 10 team fall for their first loss of the season. NC State takes out number 8 Georgia Tech 48-36. 408 yards for Haynes King through the air, another 103 on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. He is Georgia Tech's entire offense, but they just could not get any help from the Tech defense, giving up 48 points and 583 yards of total offense to NC State. And this could come back to bite Georgia Tech and cost them a spot in the big dance. Tom, we'll start with you on this one. Do you think this is a disqualifying loss for Georgia Tech from the college football playoff? I mean, NC State's 5-4, 2-3 in the ACC.
Do I think it's a disqualifying loss for Georgia Tech? No, I don't. Look what happened last year. We had a team that lost to NIU make the national championship game. That's their first loss of the season. They could still win the ACC. Remember, Clemson, I believe they were a 3-loss team last year, made the college football playoff because they won the ACC. So you have to consider that. A game, too, that scored nearly 1,200 yards of total offense. And, Haynes King was good, man. I mean, he accounted for over 500 yards himself. You have to start thinking when he's going to enter the Heisman conversation, but they have to get back to their winning ways next week. The problem for them was their defense. C.J. Bailey torched them. Jaden Scott ran all over them. They outrushed Georgia Tech 243 to 151. When you give up 7 yards per carry on the ground, you're not going to win many football games. So Georgia Tech's offense was not the reason why they lost. It was the defense, quite frankly. And it is frightening moving forward. I would say Georgia is on serious fraud. Georgia Tech, excuse me, before I get yelled at by the old boy. They're on serious fraud watch right now. Serious. They cannot afford any more slip-ups. They must win out and win the ACC to get in. One more loss to any team, including the ACC title game, will eliminate them.
Noah, your second favorite team in the world, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, picked up a loss. What were your thoughts on this one and thoughts on Tech moving forward in conference play?
And can I just say this? What a weekend I had in college football, guys. We won't talk about the NFL side and the fact the Falcons have no kicking game, but my favorite team won, and multiple teams I absolutely despise lost. One fired their coach. I mean, they just had a great week. But can I just say, man, this was an offense game, guys. No D. If you like watching defensive slugfest in this game, I mean, there was over like 1,100 yards of offense in this one. Shout out to Haynes King. He had 511 yards of offense, guys, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He basically did all he could. But problem was this Georgia Tech defense, man. They could not stop a gust of wind in this game. I mean, C.J. Bailey, what a game he had. 304 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Jaden Scott as well, over 8 yards per. Look, if you're giving 8 yards per carry to the starting running back, you're going to be in for a long day the entire game. They had 243 yards of rushing for NC State, 4 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it's just not a recipe for success to be, it's pretty obvious, but I mean, that's how it goes. But yeah, almost 600 yards for NC State, guys. And the 1 turnover for Georgia Tech as well was critical. To answer, the question you asked Tom, though, Andy, no, I don't think it's a knockout blow. If you look at the ACC standings, there is still, Virginia's the 1 team ahead of them, and then Pittsburgh is right there as well. So they're still in the mix, but there's not much margin for error, like Tom said, because ACC, let's call a spade a spade. It's not one of the, toughest conferences. You need to win it to get in. That's how Clemson got in last year, despite the fact they lost 3 games. And they do have the Georgia rivalry game at the end of the year, which is always going to be a very tough game for them. But it was a good game last year, so I guess we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, man, what an embarrassing game for this defense, man. Absolutely atrocious.
Definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah, Scott for the Wolfpack, 196 yards on 24 carries and a touchdown. So the bell cow for the Wolfpack on Saturday. We'll move to the next one we wanted to talk about, and it's Vandy and Texas. Texas knocks off Vanderbilt in this one, a 34-31 win. Vandy had to claw their way back into this game, but it was not enough. 21 points in the fourth quarter, and they could not do it. Texas jumped out to a 17-0 lead in the first and never looked back. Arch Manning, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns on 25 for 33 passing, and he finally had a little help in the run game, folks. Wisner, 75 yards on the ground and a score on 18 carries. Pavia had himself a game, but it was really, he had 365 yards through the air, but because they had to, they were down by so much. All they had to throw it. Stowers, the tight end, his favorite target, 7 catches, 2 of those for touchdowns, 146 yards. And Pavia is the leading rusher with 43 yards on the ground on 14 carries and a score. So very one-dimensional offense because they had to be. And this is not one I saw coming. I picked Vanderbilt in this game. They now dropped to 7-2. Texas is 7-2 and 4-1 in the SEC. Noah, we'll start with you on this one. Your takeaways. This is kind of the performance we've been waiting for from Arch Manning. Did the concussion kind of knock him into the prince that was promised, boys? Is that
Well, can I just say this to start?
Yeah.
He has gotten a lot of crap this season. A lot of it is pretty warranted, but in my opinion, guys, I think the last 2 weeks has been the best he's looked this season by far. I mean, he's had over 300 yards last 2 weeks, 6 touchdown, 1 interception. Had to lead, that massive come from behind win against Mississippi State. That was a big game, and unfortunately got knocked out of overtime. But then in this one, look, guys, I know it says 34-31 on the scoreboard. This game was not really in doubt. Vanderbilt, credit to them for not giving up in that fourth quarter. I think that's something they could definitely take away some positives for. But Texas, this defense just let off the gas in the fourth quarter completely and had to have it come down to an onside kick. But they really never should have gotten to that far. I think they did enough in the first half to win in the first 3 quarters to definitely win this game. Kind of got away from them. They also missed a field goal early in the fourth quarter too. But Arch, like I said, I think he was really good. Wisner, like you said, finally had a good game. Wingo had a good game. And Pavia, like you said, they had to pass their way back in this game, which credit to him, they were able to do that, to get it to an onside kick, like I said, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns. But, they had no running game, guys. Made their offense one-dimensional, which meant they got behind early. You have to pass back in the game, and they just ended up running out of time. I'm not surprised this happened. I did pick Vanderbilt as kind of the fun thing, but, logically, it was always kind of your back in your mind, right? Texas was due for a game like this with all the struggles they've had this season. This is, in my opinion, probably their first big statement win because Vanderbilt's been really good this year. And Tom, I know you love your tight end. Shout out to Eli Stowers in this game. I think he had 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game by him trying to lead this comeback. But this was a big win for Texas, and they needed to win this game. If they lost this game, their season's over. Their season might even be over 10 days from now because they go on the road to Georgia, which is not going to be an easy game by any means. But for right now, season's still alive. Arch, I think, is like the best he has all year, which is a good sign. The offense is taking steps in the right direction. And, they just need to put a complete game together. This was 3 complete quarters and then, fourth quarter where they just basically let off the gas completely. But it's a good sign for sure.
Yep, they were up 34-10 going into the fourth quarter. Vandy rattles off 21 points. It is not enough. Like you said, came down to that onside kick. Tom, you picked the Longhorns to win, I believe. But also last week, I asked you after 2 straight SEC wins if Texas was back and had any shot at meaningful postseason play, and you said absolutely not. Does this win change your mind at all?
Absolutely not. This is what you have to consider. I mean, I saw this win coming from a mile away. Texas is a very tough place to play. They're going to lose the 3rd game at some point, right? It's going to happen. I don't know if I see them beating Georgia. So I think that's where it ends for them. I know that's sort of a preview for next week's pick or whenever that game is happening. But the reason why Arch is not playing extremely well until this point of the season, you have to remember one thing too. He has 4 new starting offensive linemen this season in front of him. A lot of their boys went to the NFL. When you replace old boys with new boys, it becomes a bit challenging to develop and grow. Once those old new boys become old boys, then you will start to see results. They are more experienced. They're all accumulated to the offense, acclimated, I should say, and it's showing on the football field. And also defensively, I just want to point out one thing: 6 sacks, 2 of them from Ethan Burke. And why did they get 6 sacks? Because they stopped the run on first and second down. They only allowed Vanderbilt to run the ball for 58 yards. They're getting them in second and long, third and long. Diego Pavia, smaller sized quarterback. We know he's quick, but when you have a fierce SEC pass rush, like headlined by Ethan Burke coming at you, it is very difficult to escape that at a consistent rate. And that's why you saw Eli Stowers have the game that he did, because everything was intermediate for chunk yardage. And a lot of that came late in the game, guys. A lot of that came late in the game where Texas was playing, man up 3D, prevent, cover 3, schemes like that. And that's ultimately what got Vanderbilt close in the final score tally. But yeah, Texas is looking better. I don't see it, though. There's too many better teams in the SEC right now. I could name at least 3 or 4.
That is not surprising at all. And I think you're correct. Texas still now only with 1 loss in SEC play. So if they keep winning, they're a team to watch. But like you said, they still are going to have to match up with Georgia. So that will be a tough one. Let's move on. Just a couple more I wanted to hit here quickly. SMU 26, Miami 20 in overtime. The first game the Hurricanes have played outside of the state of Florida all year came in week 10. Did that have something to do with this loss? But I'm not sure, but I mean, Miami's done. They're 6-2. They're 2-2 in the ACC. They're going to need a lot of those teams at the top to tumble and a lot of things to go their way to make it to the ACC championship game and make it into the college football playoff. SMU is 6-3 on the year, but now 4-1 in ACC play. Tom, you said it earlier. I think it was Noah. You said it earlier. Virginia's up there. Pittsburgh's up there. Just who we thought was going to be at the top of the ACC this year. Virginia and Pittsburgh over Clemson and Florida State. But I want to point this out before I kick this over to you, Tom. Miami lost this game, and SMU only rushed for 23 total yards as a team. How do you lose a game where the other team averages 0.9 yards per rush?
Here's how. Carson Beck. The turnovers were such boneheaded plays. Oh, my God. Yeah, they could have called Uncle Rico to come and play quarterback in this game. You might have gotten better results. This was really bad, guys. I mean, this was abysmal. You could tell this was their first time playing outside the state of Florida all season long in week 10. It was really bad. The Mustangs were outrushed 159-23. But when you have 12 penalties and 2 turnovers, yeah, that's going to hinder your football team. Shout out, Kevin Jennings played well. Jordan Hudson played well. The receiver, Jordan Hudson.
I was going to say, I didn't know she transferred to SMU.
I shouldn't have to clarify that, but nowadays, you know how people are. There's nothing more to say. Penalties and turnovers cost Miami not just this game, but their season.
Noah, that's now 6 interceptions in the last 2 games for Carson Beck.
He's getting ready.
I'll just let me hear it. You teased it a little bit in the chat. I don't have anything else to say besides he stinks, dude.
Clear that throat.
Man, can I just say this, right? I want to give an apology to Carson Beck. I do. And you might not believe me, but here's why. Now, when I watched this game for Miami, when I watched this game, there were a lot of concerns that I saw. Obviously, big loss here to fall to 6-2. But there were so many mistakes in this game, and I want to highlight this Georgia defense. What were they doing in this game? Almost 400 yards against. This Kevin Jennings guy, 365 yards and a touchdown. What a game for him. But, you had this Georgia front up here, guys, 0.9 yards per rush. I mean, they did their job. What is this Miami offense doing? I mean, outside of Nate Frazier, who had 5.3 yards per carry as the starting running back, they really couldn't get anything going in the running game. And this receiving core again, guys, they don't have a number one. I mean, I think Zachariah Branch did a good job, 5 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. But, it's not it's Carson Beck. He just can't get it done with this team around him, man. They have no offensive line. I don't know why Kirby Smart hasn't invested more into fixing this offensive line, but it's all Georgia's fault. It really is. They have no weapons. They have no offensive line. I don't know what Mike Bobo was doing calling these plays, but I just watched this game, guys, and I kept thinking, Carson Beck is the victim. It's all Georgia's fault. What is this team doing with him? I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know what's going on. He's the most talented quarterback I think I've ever seen. Nothing's his fault. Um, I think if he could just get a change of scenery, right? If he could go to a team like, say, I don't know, the Miami Hurricanes, who have Cam Ward, he's been lighting it up all year, right? I think he could do really well there. But Georgia, they're just not using him right. I don't know what's going on. I think if he could go to a different team, he could do a really good job. But yeah, it's all Georgia's fault. Georgia fans, they don't know what they're talking about when they say, oh, throwing 11 interceptions in 5 games might be a cause for concern. No, it's everyone else's fault. It's the offensive coordinator. It's the running backs. It's the wide receivers. It's the offensive line. Quarterback takes absolutely no blame whatsoever. But yeah, 9 interceptions through 8 games. Worst touchdown interception ratio than last year, by the way, when everything was poor old evil Georgia's fault. Miami, offensive line, only allowed 4 sacks this season. Are we going to blame the offensive line too? Mark Fletcher, over 5 yards per carry. Are we going to blame the running game? Wide receivers had 3 guys with over 70 yards. Are we going to blame the receivers? Do the receivers now all of a sudden suck too? Man, it's all crazy concept, guys. It's almost like and stay with me for a second because I know this might be a little hard to grasp for some people. It's almost like fans that watch a team every single week and watch every snap of the game, they might actually know more about what they're talking about in regards to their team than some jackass media guys that don't watch the team, that watch highlights, that watch like 55 million different games because it's their job to not only cover every team, but also they can't be mean about players on national TV. That might get some feelings hurt. You got to say Carson Beck was the scapegoat last year. No personal responsibility whatsoever. He can go into another press conference, and what does he say? He blames the play calling again. It's not the decision making. It's not that he made the wrong read. It's the play calling's fault. We called the wrong plays. Just like the last game where he threw 4 interceptions. Wide receiver, he ran the wrong route. I didn't make a mistake at all. Ah, man. You know what, Miami, I gotta be honest. I wish I could say I feel sorry for you, but considering you have one of the most annoying jackass fan bases in the entire country, can't really say that I do. And I can't say I'm surprised. Embarrassing performance from both Carson Beck and this Hurricanes team as a whole. Uh, Sucks to suck, I guess.
Sucks to suck. Beck was 26 for 38, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Fletcher, 16 carries, 84 yards on the ground. And Josiah Trader, the leading receiver, 81 yards, 5 catches, and a touchdown. Not enough. And, goes to overtime, and SMU takes the victory. Mario Cristobal is now 4-9 as the head coach of Miami in the month of November. So clearly Carson Beck not the only problem there. Mario, I mean, he is. Don't get me wrong. Carson is a big problem there. Not having a great season, but Mario has proven that once it gets through, the first couple months of the season, he has not been able to get the best results out of his Hurricanes in November, and he struggled in December as well. So we'll see what happens, but their season, I mean, they're bowl eligible, so they're gonna play in the postseason, but it does not look like their playoff chances are very high at this moment. One last game we will hit on just quickly. OU and Tennessee in a SEC matchup, a 33-27 win for for the Sooners going to Rocky Top. Noah, we'll start with you on this one. John Mateer, 159 yards and an interception. Robinson was great on the ground, 115 yards on 16 carries and a touchdown. Aguilar had a big day through the air, 393 yards and 3 scores, but 2 interceptions. And Oklahoma walks out of Tennessee with a win despite being outgained, having more penalties, converting less third downs. So how the hell did Tennessee lose this game, Noah?
How did Tennessee lose? First of all, before I get into that, can I just say another team I absolutely despise losing? I love to see it. In their third loss of the season, any potential CFP hopes they had, they're now done. So, gotta love to see that. But why did they lose this game? A few key reasons. Number one, you mentioned the yardage. Tennessee had 456 yards of offense. When you look at that on paper, it's very impressive, or it sounds very impressive. But I have to say, this was Oklahoma defense. This was a classic bend but don't break performance, guys. I mean, some of the drives they had in this game. I'm just looking at the drive chart real quick. I almost said first period. First quarter, fumble, on the second Tennessee drive of the game. Next drive, they force them to a field goal. So it's 10-7 Tennessee in a drive where the first 3 drives of the game, guys. This Tennessee offense was driving, but they're able to get, one stop and then hold them in 3, another one. Second quarter, Tennessee misses a field goal. Then they throw 2 interceptions after Aguilar did not have a good first half by any means. And so they have no points in the second quarter. And what happens then? This OU offense starts to get going. Now, they don't score a touchdown, right? But, they get some points in there. Or excuse me, I think they did get a touchdown off it, maybe a defensive score. My memory is not the best, but they all of a sudden went from 10-7 down, right, to going into the half up 16-10, I believe it was. But and then in the second half again, they just make some big stops. They had a 4th down stop in the fourth quarter as well, and that's a big difference in a game like this. Oklahoma finished the few chances that they had in the second half, whereas Tennessee, in the first half, they kept making mistake after mistake, keeping Oklahoma in it. And oftentimes, guys, the sign of a good team isn't you just execute everything perfectly. It's when things don't go your way, right, and you find a way to get a result anyway. And in this one, that's what Tennessee was able to do. Mateer got that big rushing touchdown to put them ahead for good, I believe, even though he didn't do much through the air. And Oklahoma's offense was also more balanced. They had almost 200 yards rushing this one, 5.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, whereas the Tennessee offense, it was totally one-dimensional. They had no running game whatsoever, 1.8 yards per carry. It was basically Aguilar had to do everything himself. And like I said, he didn't have a perfect game by any means, even though he had 393 and 3 touchdowns. Like I said, he had those 2 big interceptions. And, in a 6-point game like that, all of that ends up, factoring in at the end of the game, guys. Turnover battle. I think Tennessee's 3 turnovers were much more costly than Oklahoma's 2. Oklahoma had 11 penalties, but Tennessee defense wasn't able to take advantage of that necessarily. So, and look, I've been saying this all year. I think this Tennessee team has been laughably overrated the entire season. Their defense is not good whatsoever. And in a game like this, Oklahoma defense had an off game, but they still made the plays when they needed to, right? And that's the sign of a well-coached team. They didn't have their best offense performance, but they still did enough to win the game. And by the way, on the road as well at Neyland, never an easy game by any means. So I think this was a good win for Oklahoma. Tennessee, hopefully you enjoy whatever crappy bowl game you get. But CFP odds, they're down the toilet.
Tennessee drops to 6-3 on the year. Big win for Oklahoma. Tom, what did you think about this one?
Well, you can't get them all right, and that was the case here for me. Sooners defense showed up again, 4 sacks. Joey Aguilar had a terrible game, 2 picks and a lost fumble. The Sooners also outrushed the Volunteers 192-63. Overall, it was just a sloppy game filled with penalties. John Mateer did enough to win the football game. You could still tell he's not 100%, but he did enough to move the needle. I think Oklahoma is a much better team than they were last year, and you got to give credit to Brent Venables, right? Last year, they were not good at all. People went into this season saying that Venables might be getting a little warm, despite I think he is a good coach. I do. I don't know if Oklahoma makes the CFP, but this is a great resume booster for them. They pretty much have to be perfect from here on out. I wouldn't exactly put the fork in them yet like I would like a team like Texas. I think Oklahoma, this win is huge for them. It really is. And their defense has been awesome. Our Mason Thomas is a guy that I really like. And we'll see if they can keep this up. They impressed me, and you got me as sort of on the believer train a little bit. I believe that Oklahoma could possibly make a run here.
Yeah. Anyway, you just got to find ways to win any way you can. That is the mark of a good team. They do have 2 losses in SEC play, but if they win out, they're going to need some help. But do what you can and control what you can control and keep going. But we are going to move on to our first segment of the night. It is Hugh Freeze being let go by the Auburn Tigers. This felt like something that was inevitable. He was in year 3 at Auburn and just has not really been able to find it or find any success. His regular Sunday 1:30 tee time this week was canceled. That kind of tipped some Auburn fans off to what might be going on here, but he is out. 15-19 record in 2+ seasons at Auburn. 10-3 loss to Kentucky on Saturday. John Cohen, the athletic director, made the move. He's owed $15.8 million in buyout money, no mitigation. He signed a 6-year, $49 million deal in 2022, replacing Brian Harsin. He's the 8th Power 4 head coach to be fired this year. I've informed Coach Freeze of my decision to make a change in leadership with the Auburn football program, Cohen said in a statement. Coach Freeze is a man of integrity, and we are appreciative of his investment in Auburn and his relentless work over the last 3 years in bolstering our roster. Our expectations for Auburn football are to annually compete for championships, and the search for the next leader of Auburn football begins immediately. Defensive coordinator DJ Durkin was named the interim head coach of the Tigers. Arguably a worse guy than Hugh Freeze is. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. This is an article from ESPN, by the way. Program's offensive issues were not, solved under Freeze. The Tigers scored 24 or fewer points in 17 of his 22 SEC games. A lot of close losses this year. 2 close losses this year and throughout his tenure that they were on the unfortunate end of. So, Noah, since he's a rival of yours, we'll go with you. Right move for Auburn, and your thoughts on them letting him go.
Well, first of all, right move for Auburn. Absolutely. I don't even think that's a question. Now, I mean, guys, to me, this is a classic case of the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And what I mean by that is about 5 years ago, Auburn decided to make the decision to fire Gus Malzahn after all that Gus had done from and I'm not saying that Gus was a top 5 coach in all college football by any means, but when you look at the resume that this guy had, first year there, first of all, he made his debut with Arkansas State. He took a team like Arkansas State to a 9-3 record, and then he goes to Auburn their first year. Now, I know you can say they had some lucky games. They had the Hail Mary game against Georgia. They had the kick six game against Bama, right? But his very first year takes him to a national championship game, a game really they should have won. They absolutely blew it in the fourth quarter. But, great game like that. And he has 8 straight winning seasons, right? They make the call to fire him because, a team like Auburn, they don't think they're close enough to the title, right? They want to take that next step. And what did they do? They do what good old Florida did with Billy Napier, right? They got greedy. They got greedy. They overestimated how close their team was to contending. So they fire a guy like Gus Malzahn, who had him as a respectable team every single year. They were winning, winning record, like I said, 8 straight seasons. Look at what Auburn is now. You think they would take 8 straight winning seasons now? With what? First of all, Brian Harsin. I mean, what a joke those 2 years were with him, right? And then Hugh Freeze, back-to-back losing seasons. Didn't they start? They started the season like 2-3-0, I think, and then they went on a massive losing streak. They're now 3-5. It was the right call, in my opinion. Auburn didn't make a mistake firing him. They made a mistake firing someone 5 years ago, and they're still trying to replace that guy. I can't say I feel too sorry for him. Like I said, I think they got greedy. They thought they were closer to contending than they actually were. Fired a good coach to try and take that next step. Uh, you know what? You know that phrase, 1 step forward, 2 steps back? There's no steps forward, about 20 steps back with this Auburn team.
Rough. It's been a rough go in Auburn, Alabama. Tom, your thoughts on Hugh Freeze? What went wrong? Why they decided to make this move?
Yeah. Look, he did not even last 3 full seasons, and here's why, right? So this year you start off the year 3-0, but you're 4-5. That's not why he got fired, but that is a huge downfall from there. We knew the schedule for them would get tougher going into SEC play. But it's the way they've looked in some of these losses. The team just looks flat, guys. And we've seen other schools not really concerned about buyouts this year. Freeze's buyout, $15.8 million, I believe, right? He signed a 6-year, $49 million deal to be the head coach of this team. It was 100% the correct move. 6-16 in SEC play. They lost home games in his tenure to New Mexico State, Cal, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. They thought bringing in Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma and Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech would help the team. It has not. They have not had a winning season since 2020, and in that year they only went 6-5. And now they're looking for their 4th coach in 7 seasons. It's a really bad program lately. I feel bad for these guys to a degree. That's the 8th Power 4 head coach fired this season. But, you got to look at it this way. The school is paying a buyout of 3 coaches at once. So if you're Auburn, you have to take your time with this and hire the right guy. A lot of this has been knee-jerk reactions. They're trying to get these big names in there, and it just hasn't worked. They owe over $52 million in buyout fees combined to all 3 of these guys. It's a massive problem. I'm not so sure who's going to want to take this job. They're a bottom feeder in the SEC recently. I feel like they haven't been any sort of relevant since Cam Newton was there. Maybe Bo Nix, who's now a starting quarterback in the NFL, cannot even succeed there. So this goes back to predating Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze inherited a bad team to begin with. I don't think it was all his fault, but he certainly did not make them any better. And sometimes it's, what have you done for me lately? Hugh Freeze, not a good enough job. And that's ultimately why he got fired. You're in the SEC. The expectations are high, and the leash is going to be much shorter compared to other conferences.
Yeah, Hugh, you're not at liberty anymore. You're going to have to get some results quickly, and he was not able to get them to the next level. He was 1-12 against ranked teams in his career. The last winning season for Auburn was 2020 when they went 6-5. They've only won more than 8 games twice, 2017 and 2019, since playing for that national championship in 2023. Think about that. That's very, very, very brutal stretch for a team that wants to be competing for championships. Tom, you said you don't even know who would want this job. Let's talk about who they might hire. The betting favorite right now is James Franklin at plus 300, Kenny Dillingham plus 400, John Sumrall, Tulane plus 500. Jimbo Fisher has entered the chat, boys, plus 700. Ryan Silverfield at Memphis plus 900. Glenn Schumann, the old boys DC, plus 1,000. Galesh plus 1,200. Mullen plus 14. Brent Key, Clark Lee on the list. A lot of good coaches on this list, but do they leave their current situation? Obviously, James Franklin, he does not have a job right now, so I think that's why he's so high on this list. Another guy that can't beat ranked teams, so I don't know if you go with him. He's been popular in the VT search, has been linked to Virginia Tech, but I don't believe a deal has been reached there. Tom, out of all these names, or is there another name that you're thinking that makes sense for Auburn? You said they've got to get this one right and be patient. Where do you look to?
Yeah, well, it's not Franklin because he's off the board. He's Virginia Tech's guy. They can't finalize anything yet with the current state of the NIL and this that. They can't finalize anything, but that is essentially done without being done. Dillingham is an interesting candidate because he was the Auburn OC and quarterback coach back in 2019. If you want to take a jump from the Big 12 to the SEC, maybe, but I don't think he's leaving Arizona State just yet. I don't think he has Arizona State to the point where you're like, yeah, I could make this jump and be as successful here, because right now in the Big 12, I think this season is really going to test them as a coach. Arizona State without their quarterback, Sam Levitt, for the rest of the season. Cam Scadaboo's not there anymore. I want to see how they play. But since there is a tie, I am going to throw his name in the mix. Here's the guy that I think it might be. Jimbo Fisher. I think Jimbo could be the hire. It is the classic textbook Auburn hire to get Jimbo Fisher in here. We know he wants back in coaching. I think he's their guy. And you know what? I'm going to go as far to say that. I think he will be the next coach of Auburn football. I do. I don't see anyone else taking this job because I don't think anybody else will. But Jimbo will.
Jimbo to Auburn. That I'd be interested in that. I'd be in on that. Noah, where do you see Auburn going with this coaching search?
Oh, this one is tough. I think Dillingham was a good one that Tom mentioned. I think there is a link there. He's a very good coach. The question is, will he want to leave Arizona State, because that is his alma mater? He described it as a dream job a few years ago, and they have had some success. I know they haven't been great this year, but they were in the CFP last year. So they had a really good run too. I'm not sure who would leave. Tom already kind of hit on James Franklin. I don't think it's going to be him. There's some other interesting ones. I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself some of these weeks because we kind of mentioned some of the same guys. But I think guys like Summerall or Galesh, if they want to go for a more unproven guy, I think those are good choices. Schumann, since you mentioned him, Andy, I think Schumann would look a lot more attractive last year or the year before that. I think Georgia's defense sometimes this year has just really not impressed me, to be honest. But I think he could be an interesting one. Clark Lee, I don't think he's going to leave. That's kind of one of the ones at the lower end. Brent Key, kind of same thing. I think he'd be tough to draw away. Uh, I would not hire Jimbo Fisher. I understand why Tom says they might, but I mean, I think we saw enough at A&M, right? That was a total disaster at the end there with Jimbo, and he was a large part of the reason for that. But I don't know. I feel like the one that makes the most sense to me, and I know I've mentioned this guy before, it might become a bit of a meme at this point. I'd hire Dan Mullen in an instant, guys, because again, this is a coach. I've seen him do it at the SEC level, to where 3 of his 4 seasons at Florida, they were competitive. They were competitive every single year. He came in, they instantly finished back-to-back top tens, made an SEC championship game, and again, Auburn is at a position, guys. They're not really, they can't be picky. Like, they'll take anything at this point with how bad. And can I just say this, by the way? Going from Hugh Freeze to DJ Durkin as your interim, that's like going from Tweedledee to Tweedledum. The DJ Durkin cannot coach. Every team, the SEC fan I've heard that has this guy on their staff, it's just a total disaster. So, but yeah, it is still a somewhat attractive job just because it's SEC team. They can recruit for sure. They have the resources, but man, there's so much dysfunction there. I actually think it's pretty similar to the Florida job in certain ways. But yeah, I mean, I guess gun to my head, Dan Mullen would probably be the guy I go for, or one of those kind of younger guys that I mentioned if they want to take a shot in the dark, take a chance on an improving guy, take a step up. But yeah, it's bad, man. It's so bad.
It's not good, I'll tell you that. So that is our fired coaches portion of the show that at this point it feels like we're legally required to do. But let's talk about something a little bit more fun. We're going to talk the college football playoff and the playoffs and the first rankings that have been dropped. So let me pull this up. We'll share my screen real quick. So Ohio State, Indiana. Okay, it's going across. I don't like how it's going across and not down. But all right, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. That's your top 5. Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Oregon, and Notre Dame round out the top 10. Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia, Louisville are 11 to 15. Vandy, Georgia Tech, Miami, USC, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee round out your top 25. Before I show the actual bracket, fellas, let's do a quick overrated, underrated, properly rated. So you're going to give me one team that when you look at these rankings, no way, no shot they should be that high. Give me a team that's underrated that you say we should be on the lookout for, and a team you look at and say, yep, that looks about right. Noah, I want to start with you. Go in any order you want of the over, under, or properly rated. All the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, I'll go with the obvious one first. I'll go with properly rated Ohio State number 1. They've been the best team in college football all season, so I think that's a pretty easy pick. Overrated. I mean, again, I would say I hate to dump on these guys again, but I don't. Tennessee should not be ranked at all. This team's an absolute joke. I mean, first of all, not only the fact they've lost 3 games, guys, some of their wins are so unimpressive. They had survival wins against Arkansas and Mississippi State, 2 of the worst teams in the SEC. I don't even think they should be ranked. And the reason, especially, I don't think they should be ranked, my underrated team, how the fuck is Memphis not even in the top 25 at all, guys? 8-1 in the American. They're probably going to win the American, which automatically means, with those top 5 bids, right, they're going to have a really good shot at making the college football playoff, especially they have a big game this week, right? But if they win that one, they're looking sitting pretty for an 11-1 record, guys, and they're not even in the graphic. They've been ranked at times this season too in the AP poll as well. So the fact they're not even there at all, I mean, I could understand if they were lower, but the fact they're off completely, underrated for sure. Muted.
Tom, same question goes to you. Yep, sorry, I was muted there for a second. Tommy boy, same question goes to you. Overrated, underrated, properly rated.
Quick question. Isn't Memphis the 12th seed right now, though, even though
Correct.
they're not ranked?
Memphis is still the 12th seed without being ranked, which does not make sense.
But that's even more for my point, right? They would make the CFP and they're not even in it. Like, what
like why? Like, what is the point of putting Tennessee at 25, a team that has no shot at getting into the field?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. For my underrated team, I'll go Oregon, sitting there at 9. I think they're better than that. Look, I pumped up Texas Tech high this year. The loser of that BYU Texas Tech game will drop out of the top 10 after this week. So we will see some movement here. So I think Oregon's a bit underrated. I think their one loss was to Indiana, and it wasn't by much. So I think they should be a little bit higher than where they are. I'd have them at maybe 6 or 7, maybe 7. Overrated, Texas. They say Texas forever. I'd like to say Texas never on this show this week. They beat Vanderbilt by 3, and they're back up to the 11th ranked team. That's a problem. I don't like that at all. Yeah. Properly rated, Georgia. They're number 5. They are 1 spot behind Bama, who they lost to, and 1 spot in front of Ole Miss, who they beat. And I do want to throw just one more thing in there. Jordan Rodgers, you're a moron. He says it is absurd that Notre Dame is ranked ahead of Texas and Oklahoma. First off, Texas lost to – didn't they lose to Florida?
Correct.
Like Notre Dame took Texas A&M to the last play of the game. It was 4th and goal. Marcel Reed just throws up a 50-50 ball. That's caught. Otherwise, we win that game, and they're ranked number 3. Number 3. And Miami is still ranked. They're still in the top 20. That was our second loss. And I'll be honest with you, if we play Miami again now, I think we beat them. I mean, we had a freshman quarterback starting his first ever college game at Miami, and we almost beat them. Our 2 losses are by a combined 4 points. Jordan Rodgers, you are really uneducated. Get a life, dog.
Tell us how you really feel.
Shots fired. I love a feisty Tommy boy. I really do.
Clip it.
We'll clip it. We'll clip that one. I'll go quickly. Overrated Iowa for me. I don't see them as a top 25 team personally. Underrated. Let me see here. What do we think here? Who's underrated? This is a tough one. I think Michigan, unfortunately, is underrated. They are a pretty complete team. They can run the ball pretty well. I'm not 100% sold on Bryce Underwood, but he is young and super athletic. The defense is pretty good. Let me go Michigan with my underrated team. And that's really more so I don't think Iowa's better than them. I would put Michigan over Iowa. So not like I think Michigan should be in the top 10 or top 5 or anything like that, but 21 and the teams you have over them, I'm not sure that I'm not sure I'd take USC and Iowa over Michigan. And then my properly rated, I'll go Indiana at number 2. They are an absolute wagon, and they just beat the shit out of teams. We'll see what they do to Penn State this weekend. Penn State will be the next victim. It looks like, barring something crazy happening, but that is our top 25. We will look at the bracket here quickly, but I want to ask you guys a question, see if you can name it for me. So now Texas Tech and Vandy have now appeared in the top 25 of the college football playoff. Can you name the 3 current Power 4 teams that have never made an appearance in the CFP top 25?
There's 3?
Yeah.
3 current Power 4 teams that have never appeared in the CFP top 25. That's correct. Before this new model, I'm guessing, right? Just to verify.
Yeah, the current CFP,
this current model, the 12 team.
Yeah, the top. Well, okay. The top 25. As long as they've been releasing a CFP top 25, there are 3 teams that have not appeared in it.
Okay. Well, it's not Mississippi State because Mike Leach had them respectable at one point. Or is that one of them?
Mississippi State was number 1 in the CFP rankings.
The very first one, I believe.
The very first one, yes.
Right. Well,
Arkansas.
No, they're not on this list that I have pulled up here.
Kentucky.
No.
Oklahoma State.
No.
Playoffs.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is gonna take a bit to think about.
Well,
Mhm.
obviously, before last year, Penn State hadn't made the CFP in the 14 format. Good job, Mr. Franklin.
You want me to spill the beans?
No, I
One second. Give us like another 30
like
seconds. Man, you
You
pop
want a
some.
hint?
yeah, give a hand or something.
Um, East Coast and West Coast. I don't know if that helps, but there's 2 East Coast teams, 1 West Coast team.
Uh, okay, I can't be them. UCLA.
Stanford.
I was gonna say Stanford, but they had that one year with
Close.
McCaffrey.
Close, but no.
Oregon's no, they were in at one point.
Oregon State.
No.
Washington State.
No.
Oh wait, hang on. Are
We're
we counting?
close. How
Are
are
we
we
counting?
close?
Are we counting former? How do I explain this? Are we counting
Not
like?
no, this is well, all right. It's Cal,
Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Maryland,
Maryland.
and Rutgers.
Oh,
Wow.
I never would have guessed it. Never.
Texas
Wow.
Tech up until this year had not appeared in it.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think Vandy might have been in it last year.
They were.
So now that leaves Cal, Maryland, and Rutgers as your 3 that have been left out of the party. Let's share the bracket as of right now, what it would be. Okay, so like we said, Memphis would be the 12 seed despite being unranked. They would go up against Georgia for the right to play Alabama. You'd see Oregon and Texas Tech against Ohio State. You have Virginia and Ole Miss to go up against Texas A&M, and Notre Dame and the BYU Cougars for the right to play Indiana, which would be, if Notre Dame could get through that, or match a rematch of last year's CFP. So, initial thoughts on the bracket, guys, because I think honestly, this would be a really fun. This would be a fun bracket. You have a mix of some big boys and some guys that, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Virginia would be in the college football playoff, I would have laughed at you. Tom, your thoughts on the bracket? Like, dislike, anything you disagree with, anybody you think should be in to this point over someone else?
Well, first off, a Georgia-Bama quarterfinal. That's gonna be awesome, dude. Oh man.
Yeah, you say as a neutral, sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, Notre Dame's route, that's interesting, right? Because we were the 7th seed last year. And to be honest with you, BYU's not going to hold that 7th seed. So it's going to be somebody different. And what's crazy is, let's say we get past them, we get Indiana, who we beat last year. And then if we somehow get by Indiana, we have Texas A&M, who we beat last year. Like, and could get a rematch at Ohio State. I mean, that's wishful thinking. I don't think this defense or team is as good as it was last year, but just saying, like the next few weeks, if they run the table, go 10-2. I mean, that could be interesting. Oregon at 9. Again, I think they're really underranked. If they beat Texas Tech in this layout, they'd get a rematch with Ohio State from last year. I believe Oregon was the 1 seed and Ohio State was the 8th seed. Yeah, so that could be interesting. Like, those roles are sort of reversed this year. And then Ole Miss is a wild card, man. I mean, I think they have potential to upset Texas A&M if they do get by Virginia, which I think they should. I think Texas A&M is a really, really, really good team. But, I mean, SEC matchup, that's anyone's game. I could see a way that Ole Miss possibly gets to the national championship if this layout holds the way it does. And I can see Ohio State getting upset in the semifinal for sure.
Ooh, some interesting predictions there.
It's going to change. It's going to change.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have a lot of football to be played. Like we said, this is the first projection. I think that 11 seed, like I said, with Virginia is going to be really interesting lurking right there. You have Louisville right behind them at 7-1. Georgia Tech is 8-1. Miami still in the rankings at 6-2 for whatever reason. So we could see some movement there. Noah, give me your thoughts on, if this was how it would, if this is how it ends, your thoughts on Georgia's potential path to a national title.
Immediate thoughts, not good. I really, I really hope that this would change because I want no part of a Bama rematch, man. We cannot beat these dudes, unfortunately. I would. It sucks to say, I'd really prefer if someone else could take them out because we do not have a good history of doing it. But obviously, I think Memphis would be an advantageous first round matchup for sure. No disrespect against them, but especially at home, right? Because you have the
Right.
Correct me. Okay, so it's home field. Is it the first 2 rounds or just the first round? I can never remember.
The first round is home field. So let me pull up what this says here. Oh, goddamn. Why don't I have it? Where do I have it? So what is it? 5 through 12 are all at home. So Georgia,
Yep.
this would be at Georgia, this would be at Texas Tech, at Ole Miss, and then it would be at BYU, and then the neutral sites start in the quarterfinals.
Okay, that's what I
So this
thought.
would be whatever. And they rotate the bowls. The quarterfinal and the semifinal bowls. So this will be probably whatever the opposite of last year. So whatever bowls were the semifinals will, I assume, will take the quarterfinal spots plus whatever. It's because it's a rotation from what I remember on who gets what. But yeah, so home games round 1, neutral site quarterfinals and on.
So I think Oregon. I think that would be an interesting matchup for them. I think that would be probably potentially be a shootout actually. But I kind of agree with Tom. I think they're a little bit underranked as well, and obviously this is going to change. But main thing that sticks out to me, guys, I'm not just saying this to make Tom feel better or anything, but I think out of that bottom half of that first round matchup,
Don't say it.
I like Notre Dame the
Don't
most.
say it.
I like Notre Dame the most of those 4 teams from from 11-6 and 10-7, man. I'm not saying they're better than the teams on that side of the bracket, but I would certainly say if it's which team I think would have the best chance to beat teams like A&M or Anna, it would be Notre Dame. I think they have the best coach. I think they have the best quarterback as well. I think Carr has really uh, shown strong signs. And like Tom said earlier, this is not the same Notre Dame team that lost those 2 games, guys. They already shown that they really should have beaten A&M. Let's be honest, their defense totally choked in that final drive. And I do think they're not the same team that lost to Miami either. But I think Notre Dame could potentially be a dark horse as long as they don't slip up the rest of the season, especially because they don't have to worry about winning a conference or anything, right? They just have to finish 10-2 and they're in basically. But yeah, this is interesting. Overall, though, as it stands right now, from what I've seen, I still think Ohio State, unfortunately, is probably going to win the championship. I think they've been the best team all season. But this is certainly an interesting bracket. I think there would be a lot of good matchups with a bracket like this. Interested to see how it changes until then.
Absolutely. We'll be keeping a close eye on this. And I did find what I was looking for. Teams ranked number 5 through 12 will play the CFP first round, with higher seeds hosting lower seeds. Playoff quarterfinals and playoff semifinals rotate annually among 6 bowl games: the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, Capital One Orange Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential, and the All-State Sugar Bowl. College Football Playoff National Championship will be on Monday, January 19th, 2026 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. It'll be nice. I'm sure the Hurricanes could get some cheap tickets to go watch whoever's going to be playing in their home stadium. All right. That is our college football playoff talk. Let me figure out how to stop sharing this screen. There it is. All right. Let's go to our 6-pack, our week 11 preview, and the biggest games of the week. We're starting with a team we just talked about on Friday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. Friday night, 8 p.m. ESPN. Tulane at Memphis, a big one in the American Conference. Tulane just got smacked around by UTSA last week, and Memphis is still riding high off their win over USF. And like we said, looking to keep it going. Obviously, you try to go 1-0 each week. I'm wondering how much Silverfield is, if any, is putting any emphasis on that first ranking and seeing his team at 12 in the playoff and using that as any type of motivation. But Tom, I'll start with you on this one. How do you see this game shaking up on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, Friday Night Lights, G5. I love this matchup. I do. Memphis coming off a bounce back win at Rice. Brendan Lewis has been awesome this year, accounting for 18 total touchdowns, 10 through the air, 8 on the ground. They have 30 rushing touchdowns as a team between him, Sutton Smith, and Greg DeRaurier. And you ask Andy if that 12 ranking will get to their heads a little bit. I don't think it will. I know Tulane has a veteran quarterback in Retzloff, but he's been a little streaky this year. His completion percentage is a little underwhelming for being as experienced as he is. And Memphis has one thing that I really love. It is their offensive line, and no better plug here. Former New York Giant and Fighting Illini alum David Deal coaches that offensive line. And if you got a smart guy who went to Illinois and played for the New York Giants, I mean, what could be better than that? If only you had a Notre Dame offensive line coach. But Illinois is a pretty close second. I mean, David Deal's a nice little bridesmaid to have. That offensive line moves in unison. It's like poetry. Tulane won't be able to stop it. And that's why Memphis is going to win this game by 2 possessions and easily cover that 6.5-point spread.
Memphis is the pick from Tommy. I didn't even realize he was their OL coach. Shout out David Deal, 2-time Super Bowl champion David Deal. And you're calling him a bridesmaid, Tommy.
Hell yeah.
He is a great ambassador for U of I, too. I remember back in the day for Sunday Night Football, he said University of Chief Illiniwick when they had to, unfortunately, retire the chief here at U of I. But and I will point out, Jake Retzloff, who said he's been streaky, he's been benched twice in the games that I've watched, and just truly awful performances. Brendan Sullivan, the Iowa transfer, coming in as his backup in both of those games. I think that's a storyline to watch. Is Retzloff? I mean, he got benched last week. Is he going to let that get to his head? Is he on a little bit of a shorter leash this week with by John Sumrall? Very, very interesting. Noah, we'll go to you here. Do you like Memphis or do you like the Green Wave?
First of all, before I get into that, can I just say, if you told me an hour ago that I have to hear about David Deal being a bridesmaid, I would have asked what you were drinking or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet, guys. In my opinion, Memphis has a better offense. They have a much better defense. 2 dual threat quarterbacks. I have more faith in the Memphis defense to slow down Retzlaff than I do with the opposing matchup with Tulane against Lewis, I believe it is. And I don't even think you can say that there's a threat of Memphis looking ahead in this game, right? Because this is Memphis. This is one of Memphis's 2 biggest remaining games left in the American, the other being Navy, the final week of the season, plus at home. And I think they might have a chip on their shoulder, not even being ranked in that CFP poll, like I said earlier. So I'm going with the Tigers in this one. It'll be a good game. G5 Friday Night Football always is. Might be high scoring as well. But I got the Tigers winning a big game.
Give me Memphis in this one as well. They just have so much more to play for at this point than Tulane does, in my opinion. Let's go to a big one in the Big 12, a top 10 matchup in the Big 12, 11 a.m. Central, Saturday morning on ABC. BYU, number 7, is going into Lubbock to take on the Red Raiders, number 8 Texas Tech. Tommy, I want to start with you on this one again because you have been a big Texas Tech supporter on the show. They have, I believe, what is it, 1 loss on the year, BYU coming in undefeated. Who do you like in this game?
Oh, man. BYU's coming off a real good win last week at Iowa State. They beat them by 2 scores on the road, put up a 41 piece on them. Bear Bachmeier, dual threat. He's an awesome young quarterback, and the Cougars average 216.5 rushing yards per game. Their identity is LJ Martin, and they have good complementary pieces in Parker Kingston and Chase Roberts. And Texas Tech, they also had a steamroll of their own last week. Kansas State, who has not recovered since starting the season off in Ireland, they might be a little hungover, and that's lasted quite a few, too many months. Cameron Dickey's been solid on the ground. I like Jacoby Williams too. He's a good change of pace back for them, and teams have trouble covering him. So I don't know if Jack Kelly, their sack leader, is going to be assigned with that for BYU, or if they'll go to Felatau Satuala, a safety for them who has made some big plays this season. But Jacoby Williams has been a big problem. Terrence Carter Jr., the tight end as well, has 5 scores. And then their weapons, they've invested so much money into this receiving core. You got Caleb Douglas, who is their true number 1, and it's finally starting to show, and I am happy to see it. Coy Eakin, who has had some drop problems this year. Shout out to Jaden Tamale, my coworker, for that plug there. I think he is going to have a good game this week. And then Reggie Virgil as well. These guys are really good deep threats, and they're pretty much good at everything. Coy Eakin is a curl route slant guy. Caleb Douglas can do it all. And then Reggie Virgil is a good boundary receiver. So I really like what they produce. And this is the tipping. This one tips the scale for me. Since when has defense played in the Big 12 this year? This defense has only allowed more than 20 points once all season, and it starts with linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, who one of CBS Sports Network's talent has Jacob Rodriguez as his 3rd highest Heisman candidate right now. Yes, linebacker Jacob Rodriguez is number 3 in his Heisman ballot, and here are his numbers. 74 tackles, 1 sack, 5 passes defended, 2 picks, 7 forced fumbles. And that is an impressive feat. He might be the best linebacker in the nation right now. And then you got their sack leader, David Bailey, who they got on the team this year, 11.5 sacks. He has been awesome. And then the defensive back-wise, Bryce Pollock. I don't know how – I mean, pick your poison, right? Pollock Island has been a real thing this year. So Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston are going to have trouble getting their chunk yardage like they're used to getting. So give me Texas Tech to win outright. And what's the spread? 10.5. I do like BYU to cover, but it's at Texas Tech. I think they win the game outright.
Texas Tech is the pick from Tom Scavetta. Noah, do you concur, or do you see this game going a little different?
I concur. I will say this. I think the 10.5 spread is a bit insulting. I think it'll be a much closer game than that. But I do think Texas Tech has some advantages, guys. And by the way, this game, I think I said it like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we looked ahead to this. This game will decide the Big 12 winner. And I think Texas Tech will win this game and win the Big 12 for a couple key reasons. Number one, so we have, one of the best elite passing offense going against one of the best elite rushing offenses. However, when you look at the matchup differences, I have much more faith in this Texas Tech defense than the opposite, guys. Because if I look at the Texas Tech defense, they are number 1 in the entire nation against the rush, only 74.6 rushing yards per game against. BYU is not a team that really passes the ball. They're a team that centers their offense around their running game because they average over 200 yards per game, which is good for 15th in the nation. So I think that is a big advantage for Texas Tech. Tom already kind of went into some of their playmakers, so I won't repeat that. But, yeah, they have a top 10 defense overall. And BYU's defense, it's good, but I don't think it's that good. And against an elite offense like Texas Tech, I think they have advantages on both sides of the football. Plus, they're at home as well. And I have a little bit more faith, in my opinion, uh, in Texas Tech with Baron Morton on offense than the opposite with good old Bear Bachmeyer, number 47. What a horrible look that is. But give me Texas Tech by a touchdown in this game.
Dude, he looks like a long snapper out there when he runs on the field in that fucking
Yep.
number. And no disrespect to long snappers. My brother-in-law was a long snapper for U of I, and a damn good one at that. So I respect special teams. But it's very weird. It's like your eyes have to adjust to that for a minute. Seeing a quarterback wearing number 47. He's a freshman. He's played awesome all year. He has had a lot of help in the run game. Tom, you mentioned his very talented receivers that he has to throw to. I'm not sure it is going to be enough. This is the biggest game Texas Tech has had in quite a long time. The fans are going to be up for this game. They're going to be excited. They have a healthy Baron Morton back to run the show. Give me Texas Tech. I know that's chalky and we just swept. And I do think BYU will cover the spread as well.
Hammer BYU.
So hammer the Cougars, ladies and gentlemen. We just did it to you, Texas Tech.
Oh, we will.
Oh, man. Number 3, Texas A&M is going to number 22, Missouri, 2:30 p.m. Central. This one's on ABC as well, so you won't even have to change the channel after watching BYU and Texas Tech. Marcel Reed and the Aggies marching into Columbia, taking on Mizzou, who will be without Bo Pribula once again after he got hurt. I'll just start this off. Give me the Aggies, and I don't think this one will be particularly close if Missouri is relying on Zollers or Zeller, however you say it. Noah, I'll start with you on this one. Missouri's a team that you have been very high on this year. Can they overcome no Bo Pribula against a very, very good Texas A&M team?
Man, this is tough. If they had Pribula, I think I would be. I think there would be a chance for me to do something stupid and pick an upset because
So
I do
you're
think
saying there's a chance.
if they had Pribula, I think there would be a chance because they're at home. I think they're really well-rounded team. And like you said, I think they've been underrated all season. Their offense, their defense is top 5 in the nation. They're good against the rush and the pass. They're a really good running team as well offensively. So if they're fully healthy, I might be tempted to pick them as an upset, but purely because Priva's out and Zollers just playing. Not been very impressed by what I've seen from Zollers. Um, massive quarterback advantage to Marcel Reed, obviously. And A&M is still a really good team, so it might be. I think it might be closer than people expect, but I cannot pick Missouri. Unfortunately, with a backup quarterback, spread is -6.5. I think A&M will probably cover it. If Privy was playing, I'd be tempted to pick the upset, but unfortunately I just can't do it here with a backup quarterback, guys. Against the number three team in the nation, not happening.
Nobody can blame you for that one. Tom, are you agreeing with us that Mike Elko's team has the upper hand here in Columbia?
Yeah, look, they're coming off a bye week. It's bad enough that Marcel Reed can throw the ball really well down the field. Try stopping him on the ground, too. He has over 340 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns this year. He's very accurate. He's kept clean. His receivers are awesome in Craver and Concepcion. The key in this game for A&M, if they're going to win comfortably, it's containing that Missouri run offense. With Zollers in at quarterback, they will rely a lot more on the run. Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts are very serviceable players. Ahmad Hardy, one of the best backs in the nation this year, closing in on 1,000 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns rushing. He slowed down a bit the last couple of weeks. Teams have started to figure him out a little bit in that Mizzou offensive line. So I think A&M will get the job done there and do well enough in the trenches. Look for Cassius Howell and Deion Hayes, DJ Hicks to make some plays for them defensively. Give me Texas A&M, Mike Elko's team. Will stay at number 3 at least for another week, and this win will help Notre Dame move up to number 9 next week in the CFP rankings. I know we all went A&M, so I want to add a little juice to this game here.
Gotta add some juice. That's 3 games, and we have went the same way
Oh boy.
on all three. Maybe this one will be different. Let's go to the Big Ten for another 2:30 matchup. This one on CBS. Number 9, Oregon. The Oregon Ducks are going to number 20, Iowa. This is the biggest game Iowa has played to date. I know there was a lot of juice for them, for Iowa fans when they beat Penn State, which, it's a good win, but definitely not as impressive after everything that has transpired for the Nittany Lions. Now they have a chance to get a real signature win at home. Tom, I'll start with you on this one. You talked earlier about how Oregon is underrated. Do you think they go in and take care of business in Iowa City?
Yeah, look, I want to give Iowa some credit. They are a much better team this year than people think. Mark Gronowski is a great interviewer. He did a good job with the media this week already in preparation for this. They're coming off a bye in a game where they scored 41 points on a PJ Fleck Minnesota team. You cannot question the offense as much as you used to. You can question the passing a little bit. They're not a pass-first team at all. Gronowski has very underwhelming passing numbers, to say the least. That is not what their offense is built around. This is an old school offense because they have an old head coach who is the longest tenured FBS Division I coach in Kirk Ferentz. He has been there since 1998, and the identity has not changed since 1998. It is smash mouth, run the football, try to stop me, I'm coming at you. 12, 13 personnel even at times. Gronowski has 11 rushing touchdowns. Kamari Moulton's been really good for them. And defensively, the Hawkeyes have some dudes. Dante Moore, second year as a full-time starter in college football. He's going to be challenged a little bit on the road. This will not be easy for him. I like Max Wellen a lot, 6.5 sacks. And Aaron Graves, he'll be drafted in this year's NFL draft. He's really good. Nose tackle who stuffs the run, takes on double combo blocks, and can shed them well. And then I look at the Ducks, and they have a very similar identity. They also like to run the football. 237 rushing yards per game, 6.5 yards per clip. I don't see Iowa being able to stop it enough to keep them off the field. I think they do a good job against the pass. I think Dante Moore throws for under 200 yards in this game. But Oregon, the defensively is too strong. Iowa's offense won't be able to move the football at all. Matayo Uiagalelei, Tatum Tuioti, and Bryce Botcher are really great guys on defense for the Ducks that I think can make some key plays in this game. So give me Oregon, but Iowa will keep it within single digits.
Iowa keeps this one close, but the Ducks come away with the win is the prediction from Tom. That's what Iowa's going to have to do to win this game is keep it ugly. They're going to need a couple safeties, a blocked punt, or something like that. They're going to have to win the Iowa way and try to keep Oregon out of the end zone. The under might be a play in this game. Noah, your thoughts on this matchup in the Big Ten?
Well, I just want to say I really appreciate all those nice things that Tom said about Iowa because I'm not going to do it at all. I don't think this matchup is good at all. Now I will say, is the Iowa offense better? Yes. Is that saying even remotely anything? No, because Iowa's offense the past few years it's been like watching an old folks home, guys. It's just been totally embarrassing. Now, here's the thing, right? Their running game is really good. However, what can you do when when a team has a good running game and has no passing game? You stack the box. You put 8 men up in the box, dare that team to beat you passing the ball. That would be difficult against any defense. But you're going up against Oregon, who has a top 5 defense and I believe a top 5 offense as well. If they get this Iowa team one-dimensional, which they will, I don't even think that's a question, let's be honest, they're screwed. If you shut down Iowa's running game, they're not gonna do anything offensively, and Iowa's defense is amazing, but if Iowa's gonna have any chance in this game, guys, they need that defense to play like the 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers. And let's be honest, this Ducks offense has enough weapons to where I think they could put up something like 20 points, and Iowa's not doing that. Give me Oregon to win this game 20-3. It's not going to be close.
Yeah, I like that. 20-3, 20-6. I'm not sure we see Iowa cross the goal line. Give me Oregon as well. Really fun set of picks we have here this week, boys. All of us just agreeing with each other. And I think we probably all will on this next game as well. LSU is going to Tuscaloosa at number 4, Alabama, 6:30 on ABC. Alabama looking to continue their case for the college football playoff. LSU playing their first game without Brian Kelly, looking to play spoiler and, bring up the team morale a little bit, let's say. Noah,
Yes.
it's an SEC game, so I want to start with you. Two teams that you do not like. How do you see this game going?
Man, LSU has no chance. Like, I'm sorry. I wish I could say otherwise, but I just don't think they have any chance at all, guys. Their offense is so one-dimensional. They cannot run the football, and you're going on the road to Bryant-Denny against a Alabama defense that is top 25 in the country. Their offense has looked much more well-balanced. Ty Simpson's looked really good since that opening loss this season. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. They can run the football. Their offensive line is very strong. Their defense is strong. LSU just has so many question marks. They fired Brian Kelly, right? They can't run the ball. Nussmeier has not been lighting up defenses like you'd expect him through the air. There's just so many question marks with LSU team. If it was at Death Valley, that might be one thing, but the fact this is a road game for them as well. Spread is 10.5. Hammer Alabama in this game. I don't even know it's going to be particularly close. I think it might get ugly, but just to show them a little respect, I'll go Alabama by like 14-17, something like that. But LSU is not going to win the game. I don't think it's ever going to be in doubt.
This feels like one where Alabama's going to step on their throat and do it very early. Tom, your thoughts? Does LSU have a chance? Do they get any interim head coach bump like Florida did last week and keep this game close at all?
Well, I wish I could say yes, but I actually got a little annoyed at the interim head coach. He said he compared these last 4 games as interim head coach to Pearl Harbor. I don't know if that was a good analogy to use with the media entering your first game as a head coach. He basically said when bombs drop and sirens blare into the fog of LSU war, it's time for everyone to come together. That is not going to happen against this Alabama team. Garrett Nussmeier has been named the starting quarterback. He will remain the starter. Very discouraging comments from an interim head coach going into your first game. And I will say, I'm not afraid to say that. That's really bad. Alabama wins by 20 points.
A 3-score victory is the consensus around the tailgate committee. I'll take the Tide as well. I don't see LSU marching into Tuscaloosa and having any semblance of a chance in this game. And we'll end it with Navy at number 10, Notre Dame. Tommy boy, the Irish need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive, currently as the 10 seed in the bracket. Navy coming off a loss to North Texas. I picked the Midshipmen last week, and they could not stop that North Texas offense. I don't think they're going to have a chance at stopping this Notre Dame offense. Jeremiah Love and CJ Carr, I think, are going to dice them up. Don't forget about Jadarian Price. You have all those weapons at wide receiver as well. Tom, we'll start with you because you are the resident Notre Dame fan on the tailgate committee. Tell me about this game and this matchup with the Midshipmen.
Yeah, look, we don't need to go over the numbers for every player. We know who the stars are on this team, right? CJ Carr, Jeremiah Love. And what's so special about this rivalry is these teams have been playing for so long. They play in Ireland, they play in South Bend, Baltimore, Philly, New Jersey, California, you name it. That's what's so special about this. And CJ Carr, awesome interview he did this week. I believe it was with ESPN. Uh, I really think he is going to have a bright future in college football over at least the next 2 to 3 years. He's an awesome young quarterback. He makes the right reads. He has an awesome running game to complement his passing with Love, 11 touchdowns, and Jadarian Price with 8. They are very good in the red zone. Faison, intermediate over the middle of the field. Malachi Fields is a tall, steady receiver. Um, but Navy does bring some challenges, right? And this is the one worry for Notre Dame, and you kind of saw it against Boston College last week. They couldn't run the football well enough in that first half, but Jeremiah Love is just so talented. He broke loose in the second half for a couple of big runs. He is the game changer, and Navy has to stop him. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. And then if you do somehow limit him, then you got to worry about Jadarian Price, and you got to worry about CJ Carr. It's not going to be pretty. But defensively for Notre Dame, I just read this stat earlier today. They play the most man coverage in all of college football. That is why Christian Gray gets torched as much as he does. He cannot play man coverage. He needs to play soft zone like he eats his soft serve ice cream because this guy is not good. Christian Gray needs to have a better game. Leonard Moore is going to be soloed out against Eli Heidenreich. This Navy offense averages 317 rushing yards per game. I mean, I saw these teams play at MetLife last year, and it was a bloodbath. Navy made so many uncharacteristic mistakes. They turned the ball over 5+ times. But Blake Horvath is a good ball player. You got to look out for him. He's got 13 rushing touchdowns, 7 passing. Alex Tetcha is a really good running back as well. He's their bell cow. And then Heidenreich is a guy who doesn't just catch, but he could run too. Heidenreich is sort of a Swiss Army knife for them. He can make a big play over the top of the defense, and he could also get some good yards on these reverse runs and these triple option runs that he does. But what it really comes down for me is that Navy has not beaten Notre Dame since 2016. So it was very difficult for me to see a path for Navy to keep it close. But I do think they covered the spread of 25.5. I know Notre Dame covered the spread against Navy last year. I don't see them doing it this year, mainly because I'm not as confident in the defense getting settled in right away. Last year, the defense got settled in once kickoff happened. This year, Notre Dame's defense doesn't get settled in until at least the second quarter, and it is a massive problem. So I do expect Navy to put up some points.
Yeah, I remember watching that game last year, and Navy didn't really have a problem moving the ball. It was just whenever they would get into Notre Dame territory, it was another turnover. So they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth from that. And Horvath is going to want to play well. But just the defensive struggles last week against North Texas really make me worry about playing a team of this caliber. Noah, your thoughts? Does Navy have a chance at all against Notre Dame this week?
To win the game, I do not believe so. No, I will say this, however, I think the spread is pretty insulting. I don't think it's going to be an absolute blowout like that. I think this is way too high of a spread. But I just have faith in Notre Dame to win this game, mainly because, I think the Navy offense passing-wise has been better than you expect most season. But let's be honest, guys, it's still an offense, right? Where you basically just have to worry about, the rushing attack. If you look at their stats, I think they're like 130th passing offense in the nation, and as always, they're leading the entire country in rushing. And while it is true, like Tom says, Notre Dame's defense, has showed some holes. That's really against the pass, pretty much. If you compare their rushing defense to pass defense, they're 120th against the pass, but they're actually 12th against the rush. And I think they're going to need every bit of that against this Navy offense, But on the other side as well, Notre Dame offense, I think, is looked really good as the season's gone along. I know it's all about the running backs, right? Love and Price. But like I said earlier, I've been really impressed, I think, with the progress that Carr has shown as the season's gone along, especially because, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, isn't he Is he a redshirt or is he a true freshman?
Redshirt freshman.
Yeah. Okay.
First year playing though. So,
but yeah, still. So I mean, he's been really impressive, I think, and I think he'll do enough to win this game for them. I just don't think that the Navy defense will be able to keep pace with Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame has some issues. Like I said, it's mainly in the past. You don't really have to worry about that as much against a team like Navy. I do think Navy covers, but Notre Dame will win the game. I'd say by like 14-17 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Give me the Irish in the game. Navy covers 25.5. I think they keep it closer than people think. I think they'll keep it within a score throughout the first half, and then Notre Dame will pull away in the second half. I think they'll prove to be too much for the midshipmen. That does it for our six-pack. We'll go ahead and lock this up and get out of here. Tough week last week for the tailgate committee. All three of us dropping our locks of the week. Not a good one. Tom's is the most brutal. Definitely the worst beat of the week. You still have the best record, Tommy boy. So we'll start with you on this one. Hit me with it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, 8-2. I will not be betting on Georgia again for quite some time. As my lock of the week, I am going with Texas Tech to win the game outright against BYU. I'm not going any points here. Can't get mad at me for picking the money line here, Andy. It's a 7-8 game. I mean, man, I gotta get back.
Go ahead, Tom.
I gotta get back on a winning streak. I gotta get to 9-2.
Gotta see one go through the hoop.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not going to see it with my pro football team this week. So yeah.
Don't you do that? Don't start that now. We're not going to reverse jinx. We're not going to reverse jinx. I have zero confidence. We just gave up fucking 42 points to the Bengals last week, so we'll see how this goes. But all right, Texas Tech to win against BYU. Noah, I am waiting with a bated breath to hear where you're going this week.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint you guys. I've gone with another quote unquote irrelevant matchup. In fact, I'm going back to an old favorite of mine, guys. How about good old Miami? The Hurricanes against the Syracuse Orange this week, man. What an interesting matchup we got here. Again, you guys know I don't like point spreads or anything. I just need a win back under my belt. I'm going with the Hurricanes to get a comeback, or not a comeback, bounce back. And by the way, can I just say this? ESPN website, guys, I don't know what you guys are smoking over there, but I did some research for this game, and I was checking the Syracuse roster, and I saw you had Steve Angeli listed as active. I don't know if you guys watch sports or whatever, but he kind of tore his Achilles tendon like 2 months ago, so maybe you should get on that. But yeah, lock of the week, Miami Hurricanes. I hate to disappoint you guys. Keep going with these mediocre matchups, but it is what it is.
Miami over Syracuse. Yeah, Syracuse started I think he was a true freshman last against UNC, and I think he completed 4 passes. It was very brutal for the Syracuse offense. I'm going to go Indiana minus 14.5 against Penn State. Kurt Signetti likes to absolutely run it up on teams, and his facial expression will be the same either way. Whether the game is 0-0 or 56-0, Indiana, he just wants more points. I don't think they're going to have an issue with Penn State this week. So that's my lock, hoping to finally get back in the win column. I also give another shout out to Tom before we get out of here. 1 of 3 left in our survivor pool for the, I know it's the NFL, not the CFB, but he is crushing it. 3 guys left, so we're rooting for you in that one, Tom. But this is the Tailgate Committee. Week 11 of the college football season is here, and we are fired up to talk about it with you guys. Please follow us on social media. We are at the Tailgate Committee on Instagram, Facebook, and we're at the Tailgate Com on Twitter, at the Tailgate Committee on YouTube. Please like this video, subscribe, tell a friend who tells a friend. We'll be back next week for week 12. My God, that doesn't feel right. It's going by fast, but we appreciate you all, and we will see you next time.